we're taught as Mormons, if we're getting right into it, to listen to what they call the still small voice, or listen to the Spirit, pray really hard, have a quiet, dark space, and listen to what's right. Well, if you're going to do that obediently, you're also going to hear your own conscience, and you're going to hear your own intuition. And so that was, yes, very loud in me. And so those two forces were battling back and forth constantly. Do I listen to what myself very, very quietly is telling me to do, or do I listen to what the church, my father, the bishop, and all the patriarchal figures are telling me to do?
Spit that shit out, man! That's on Flip Script.
Foreshadowing of signs to come. When we were in the marriage office in New York City, I couldn't do it.
So were you in there, and was it the plan? Was it the plan to change your name?
There's a guy on the clipboard and said, "What does your last name be?" And I said Higgins. And then he started having us fill out a bunch more stuff, and I was biting my nails, feeling horrible, something wrong inside of me.
Yeah.
And at the very last minute, as he was about to, stamp the papers and file them away, I said, "No."
Really?
Went back to Pixton, held on to my last name.
And I'm assuming Bob was like, "Whatever makes you happy," or how'd
let's
that
go with that.
That's so funny because my sister asked my brother-in-law to take our name.
To take her name?
Her name, the Gilberry name.
Right.
And he was just like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, I assumed you were going to take my name. She goes, "No, I don't want to do that."
Right. Yeah.
Like, well, all right, but I'm not taking yours. You just keep yours, I'll keep mine.
So, I mean, it's interesting, man, because you have a strong moral compass. Like, in terms of what's right for you, it just seems like that story of your last name kind of, to me, parallels some of what you write about in your essay when you're talking about leaving the church and your experiences, experimenting with different belief systems. But early on, like, you're trying to fit in, and something's just not fitting.
The interesting thing about, I love that you say moral compass. Yeah. Well, and then we're taught as Mormons, if we're getting right into it, to listen to what they call the still small voice, or listen to the Spirit, pray really hard, have a quiet, dark space, and listen to what's right. Well, if you're going to do that obediently, you're also going to hear your own conscience, and you're going to hear your own intuition. And so that was, yes, very loud in me. And so those two forces were battling back and forth constantly. Do I listen to what myself very, very quietly is telling me to do, or do I listen to what the church, my father, the bishop, and all the patriarchal figures are telling me to do?
Right.
Because your own little voice is very muffled by all of the men in the Mormon church.
Right.
And it's men, right?
It's men.
It's all
They're
men.
the leadership.
Isn't it? It's 2020, gentlemen, and one of the largest and most successful Christian religions do not allow women in any leadership role.
Wow.
It's so sad.
Wow.
So, and we are getting right into it. We've got Britt Pixton with us, who is a good friend of ours and one of my favorite people that I've met since moving here to Oregon, and just has an interesting story, super creative. And the more I learned about her, the more I knew I wanted to get her on the podcast and just have a talk about some life experiences. And
maybe reference her article.
Well, that's what I was going to say, Britt. If it's okay with you, I was going to read the first paragraph of your article, just to kind of lead us into the beginning of this portion of your story.
Sure. I love it.
Okay. This is called Lost in Transition. And can it be found anywhere, Britt, or is anyone online?
Yes. It's on the website, Exponent, right? They are a smaller literary organization, so they do require subscriptions to probably access past articles.
Okay.
And for most of their online content, but yes, it's accessible there.
Well, we're going to talk all about it. So here's the first paragraph. It was both scary and important to ask myself why I go to church. I had no clear answer. I went looking for friends. I went hoping to feel the Spirit. I went to give my 2 young children the beginnings of a religious education and to give me 2 hours away from them. I went because it is what I have always done. Yet even though I grew up Mormon, I never settled snugly into the culture the way others did. I tried explaining this to my new bishop as he sank deeper into our sagging couch, his eyes growing wide with each confession of incompatibility. I admitted that paying tithing to an opaque organization left my stomach churning, and that last year I paid my tithing amount to a transparent charity downtown. I told him about being a bridesmaid in my friend's fantastic gay wedding and of wanting to bless my daughter. I pulled my skirt low to cover the fictional hemline of righteousness on my thighs, but at this point, the gesture was futile.
Wow.
That's an awesome opening paragraph, first of all, as a writer.
Thank you.
So you're in this moment of your internal moral compass has been whispering to you clearly for a while.
And how old were you when this was all happening? Can you give us a look?
This happened in 2014 with quote unquote the policy, which we might bring up later, was 2015. So
okay, pretty recently.
Yeah, mid-30s.
Okay,
and that's this point where things are really coming to a head for you. But you've had this feeling of not fitting in for a while.
I thought it started in my college years when I was in New York City.
Right.
And I spent time with the most fantastic theater crowd.
Yeah.
And so often really one foot on one side and the other of the fence. The theater crowd always called me a prude.
Yeah.
My church crowd has always called me liberal.
Right.
So, but then when I read my journals, when I was 14, I happened to glance over them a while back.
Mm-hmm.
I remember complaining about a boy liking me, but I wasn't interested in him because he was too Mormon-y for me.
Oh,
I wrote.
What is that? What did that mean, do you think?
Who knows? I was 14.
Yeah.
But I think it stemmed back earlier than I knew.
Right.
Yeah.
Something didn't sink pretty early on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So at this point, things are coming to a head. You're married. You have a family.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you at this point in the country?
At this point, we're in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And marriage is hanging by a thread. Motherhood and identity of self is hanging by a thread. I worked in the course of 2.5 years, 6 odd jobs to get my husband through his medical school grad program.
Yeah.
We barely saw each other. So we were also in a bad ward. And when I say ward, that's Mormon term for congregation.
Mm-hmm.
So we were in a congregation that was quite in a rut, a little flat. And that helped speed up the trajectory out because it wasn't thriving and it wasn't necessarily the best community. So it helped us to re-examine things.
And at this point, or not at this point, but when you guys got married, your husband, Bob, he chose to convert, right?
He did, yeah.
Yeah. Big step.
Yes.
Was it a necessary step or just something that he wanted to do, do you think?
I did imply to him that I didn't think I would be able to marry him unless he was Mormon. But then I said the choice was his.
Oh, look at you.
Oddly enough, it is very parallel to so much of what Mormon leaders say to Mormon members.
Yes, or
right?
and other religions as well.
Yeah, of course.
You can choose not to dress this way. The choice is yours.
Britt, anybody would change their religion for you.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Marty.
And was that coming from within you? Like, I don't think I could be at peace marrying you, or I don't think I can handle the blowback if you don't.
It was totally within me. Yep.
Yeah.
I felt like that's what I wanted because I was, I loved the faith at that time. I loved the spiritual experiences. New York Mormon community is very different than other Mormon communities.
Tell us a little bit about that, because that also, to the lay person, that those seem like mutually exclusive. What's the word I'm looking for? Mutually exclusive groups, the New York community, especially the theater community or the artistic community, and the Mormon community. So tell us what that looks like in New York.
It's totally geographical. Now, Mormonism is newer. It's a much newer religion, right? It's only 150 or almost 200 years old. So it's not like Catholicism or Judaism where you can have a wide spectrum of your commitment to the faith. There really is technically... You're active and you're committed and you're considered a member in good standing or not. However, It is geographical. So the Mormon crowd is going to be more ambitious, more intellectual, more intelligent, and that seeps into the congregation. So when I was in New York City, I was in a ward where my gay friend would bring his gay boyfriend and the bishop was okay with it.
Right.
I was in a ward where women wore pants frequently and everybody was fine with it.
Yeah.
So if you're going to be in Utah, you're going to be in a much more prudent and conservative ward. California wards are renowned for being super easygoing and chill.
Yeah.
So the culture definitely reflects it, depending on where you live.
And would that bishop have to do that kind of on the down low, or was it
Absolutely
understood? Yeah.
On the down low.
Okay.
If he went up the chain, it would not be approved.
Right.
Yep.
Right. So you leaving that, then going to Cincinnati, where there's a different culture in the ward, I'm assuming that was probably shaking as well.
We were a bit shocked.
Yeah.
By Cincinnati as a whole. I mean, we were snobby East Coaster elites.
That happens, right?
Yeah. Marvelous, darling.
It happens to some people, AJ.
Yeah. Other people like Marty are just born that way.
Yeah, right.
We truly believed that systemic racism was no longer, because we had been spoiled by Manhattan for so many years. And the first couple of weeks we went to Cincinnati and to the ward, we would both come home from wherever we were and we would say, holy shit, you have no idea what I just heard today.
Yeah.
Raspberries should stay with raspberries and blueberries should stay with blueberries.
Oh,
I don't like to go to that part of town because that's a dark part of town, if you know what I mean.
Right.
All of these not so subversive comments that were much more common in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
That surprised us.
Well, and Cincinnati is for Ohio, it's a southern culture.
Yeah, they call it the northernmost southern town or something.
Yeah.
It is. And not to dig on Cincinnati. There's great communities there, great people there as well. But the racism there is more open.
Certainly if you're coming from a place like New York where, to be fair, let's say the racism in New York is more under the surface, right? It's not a place free of racism. But it is definitely a more progressive, obviously, place, and social interactions are going to feel different there.
Yeah.
And also I want to say, off the top here that at least it's not my intention. Like, I'm genuinely curious about your story, and no part of my intention is to dig on the Mormon religion, on anybody's religion. I'm curious about one person's story and diving into it in a truthful way.
Yeah, I would echo that as well. So.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. And the nods to the Mormon Church. I don't think I can say good things about the organization at top as a whole, but there are phenomenal people in that faith who have nothing but a pure heart and a good intent to create wonderful communities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just to throw some cliche in, some of my best friends are Mormon.
That's a lie.
Seriously, though, I do have.
You got one down the street.
A couple
right?
of really good friends. I was going to say I have some really a couple of dear friends that are Mormon, and I don't really get it. Actually, one time, my buddy asked me at the office if I liked his wife's cooking. I'm like, yeah. But he said, I said, yeah, of course I like Nan's cooking. And he said, well, listen, man. He's like, here's the deal. He's like, we got a bunch of young missionaries going out. And he knew how some of my feelings about religion. And because I sort of left the Catholic faith. I did leave the Catholic faith. See, I'm even saying sort of. It's just this weird sort of 1 foot in, a little toe.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, he said, he said, he looked at me, he goes, and they're going to meet people just like you out there.
Yeah.
He says, do you mind coming over and just letting them practice on you? And I'm like, he said, you can say anything you want. And I'm like, are you sure? I said, are you sure they're ready for this?
No, they're never ready.
And so we went and we had dinner, and after dinner, we went and sat on the couch, and his kids came out, and then they're like Santana and Sebastian's age. And I said, are you sure you want these guys here for this? And, God bless them. They made their run at me. And, I mean, again, ostensibly it was practice. My friend knew better, but they weren't going to convert me. But,
right.
But it was just funny. Yeah. I mean, it was completely transparent and innocent, but.
Do you feel like you honed them? Did they come out sharp and steel?
I think they did. they had some things to think about. I don't know what it did to them after, but
right. All right. Did you ever see Book of Mormon, Britt?
I did.
What'd you think?
Oh, I just laughed and cried through the first act.
Yeah.
And then I thought the second act sucked.
What about it? I'm fuzzy on like the second act. So yeah, tell me what you thought sucked.
The bottom line is that they mocked Mormonism so well. The blonde Jesus shaking his hair and the wind. It's perfect.
Yeah.
But I think because they're so practiced at creating the perfect half-hour long South Park episodes, because it's Trey Parker and What's His Bucket, right?
Yeah.
I think they just got lost in the second act, didn't know what to do, and then suddenly the jokes weren't jokes anymore. It just became crude criticism.
Yeah.
Masked as humor.
Right.
And
which would play well for some crowds.
Sure. The crowd was still laughing. I don't get offended at much, and I was offended because I was like, well, this is just dumb humor now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't as clever as the first act.
That's interesting. I would trust your barometer on that because like you said, you don't get offended very easily at all. And the fact that you loved the first act, which I remember laughing my ass off at the first act, and I don't remember the second act that much. Generally speaking, in plays and musicals, I'm just happy if the second act is shorter than the first. Like if I enjoyed the first one and then the second act is shorter and we're like, we all get out uninjured, then I'm pretty happy.
Uninjured. I didn't see the Book of Mormon. I really got to see it.
Oh, it's good. Yeah. It's worth seeing. But I got to say, I also tip my hat to the Mormon Church for putting an ad in the playbill saying, hope you enjoyed the show.
Yeah. It was clever.
It was very clever. Hey, listen, no one was stabbed in the street for making that musical. Right. And that's worth noting.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Like, that's the best response, shouting and picketing, and it just gives it more attention. Just let it go. And if you're curious, here's where you can learn more.
Right.
I think it was the right move.
Yeah. So back to your story. You are meeting with the bishop. Bishop, right? That's the right term?
That's correct, yeah.
And by this point, you've got 1 foot out the door?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. And then what happens? Tell us a little bit. It's in your article, but you go on a little bit of an exploratory journey?
Sure. Well, that's when I left officially.
Okay.
And here's an important note about the bishops. I don't know if it's relevant or not, but they're not paid positions.
Oh, really?
Nor are they trained positions. In fact, we call them callings. You're called to the work, right, by the Lord. Maybe that's how they don't have to pay you. Yeah. But even stake presidents who are like bishops or pastors of multiple regional congregations, not paid positions.
So they all have a career.
They have their full-time jobs. They
do
this multiple times in the evening. It's a huge, huge commitment on their part.
Right.
Props to them. But I came to him with a pretty serious psychological issue. His number one thing that he should have done, that all bishops should do, is say, I'm not trained in this area. Here's a few psychologists or therapists that you can call.
Okay.
But they're instructed to counsel with the Lord and give us advice as best as they can.
Right.
And he gave me terrible advice.
Oh. Yeah.
Terrible advice.
Did you know it was terrible advice at the time?
Nope. But I learned about a week after.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just not their fault. It's unfortunate for them. Not thousands of stories of people getting very bad advice from bishops.
Did that bad advice wind up pushing you out more? Like you said, it doesn't take long. In about a week, you learn it's bad advice. Does it just add to your confusion, or are you like, well, I'm even more out the door now? That
advice pushed me to never go to a religious leader again for help.
Yeah.
Because I realized this isn't how it should be done.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe for specific spiritual counsel. But any family or relationship needs or personal needs, go to a therapist.
Right.
I'm not going to segue off into my story, but with Catholicism, which is completely different than what you went through, but one of my tipping points was going to a priest with some serious, emotional issues. And all he was focused on was when I went to confession last. And I'm like, dude, really?
Right.
Is the Catholic God a lawyer?
Yeah.
And so anyway, but continue. Yeah. I'm echoing what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. So I left, so 1 foot in, one foot out a lot. It got to the point where a lot of the words in Relief Society, which is the hour-long women's meeting on Sundays, the words were just so painful to hear, and that I would leave. I would leave and I would hide in the car. and I would cry.
Wow.
I was so attached to duty and faith that I didn't have the outside perspective to see what was going on. And it was my dear husband who had grabbed toilet paper from the public bathroom and shoved it to me in the window, just very gently said, "Hey, honey, maybe if you're crying every Sunday, maybe you need to take a break."
That sounds like Bob.
And that was, that was all I needed I needed that permission to be able to take a break and say, I need to step away from this. It's very, very parallel to a relationship with a boyfriend that you love, but it's a very bad, unhealthy, filled with gaslighting relationship.
Right.
And you don't know how to get out of the emotional abuse. The church is similar to that for so many women.
Right.
So they passed a policy that enhanced their actions against gays in November of 2015.
And what was that policy?
Basically, gays now not only are they considered sinful if they choose to act out on their same-sex attraction, that's Mormon speak for if they choose to be gay.
Yeah.
Now they're also considered apostates. Not only are they considered apostates, but if they have children, adopted or through their partner, their children are not allowed to take any sacraments of or any covenants of the church whatsoever.
Well, I thought they were more expanding than contracting.
They keep trying to and failing.
Wow.
So tell me more about that. They keep trying to and failing. So is there a faction that keeps trying to expand and then they can't get it past? Okay.
Yeah, New York, California, progressives, the professors, a lot of professors at BYU and University of Utah.
Oh, really?
But I think they were pushing the boundaries and allowing, especially with the internet growth and everybody gaining more knowledge about the history of the church and how the church had suppressed so much of that history.
Yeah.
I think this was their big decision, just to circle the wagons and really clamp down on the gay policy instead of open it up. And it backfired horribly. Thousands of people protested in Salt Lake City, pulling their names and membership from the church right away.
In Salt Lake City?
Oh, right on Temple Square, right in front of the big temple.
So general, like a lot of Salt Lake City residents, or did people travel to Salt Lake City
Both.
to both?
Both.
So it's not just at this point, New York and California Mormons. There are people in the heart of the geographic heart of the Mormon church.
All across the country. And the news was so big and so extreme, even for the Mormon leadership, that a lot of conservative believing Mormons came out right away and said, well, this is a hoax. This is a silly hoax.
Which part's the hoax?
About the Mormon church condemning gays as being apostates.
Wasn't that easily provable, whether it was true or not?
The news came, you know how news travels these days. In 24 hours, there's all these comments on it. So it was leaked out. It wasn't announced by the church. It was leaked out by one of the lawyers who was updating a what's called a bishop's handbook. It got leaked out to a very prominent Mormon activist, John DeLynn. He put it out on Facebook. He contacted Peggy Fletcher, who's been writing about Mormonism for years and years for the Salt Lake Tribune.
Is she a Mormon herself? Or
she's not.
Okay.
But a phenomenal study and writer on Mormonism.
Okay.
So the conservative Mormons thought it was a hoax because it was so ridiculous. We would never punish the children for the sins of the fathers. I'm putting air quotes that you can't see on the podcast.
Well, that's we can hear those air quotes.
Yeah.
Especially if you're if you're talented at air quotes, we can hear them.
If you can make an echo on a microphone like I can,
That's right.
Absolutely, man.
Anyway, long story short, they found out it was actually real. And even conservative Mormons had such a hard time with it. There was a lot of backlash. Lots of people left. Lots of people said no. I remember one night, maybe just a few nights after it happened, turning to my husband, Bob. And this was the best marital conversation we ever had. I said to him, we don't have to talk about this, do we? And he said, nope. And we walked into primary, which is the class for children, the very next Sunday, like tearing off a Band-Aid. We grabbed our kids' hands, we pulled them out of primary, and we never went back.
Wow. How did you feel walking out of that room, out of that building?
Defiant, stubborn, prideful, and that lasted for about 6 hours, and then I was scared shitless.
And tell me what you were scared of.
Oh, here's the thing. I knew it was the right decision. And that was a really good foundation for the next 5 years. And the first years of leaving a faith like this is very, very difficult. And people go through all sorts of different levels of grief and shame and resentment and doubt.
You're sort of unmoored from the community, right? I mean,
completely.
Yeah.
And your family, and a lot of family will ostracize you. or they'll just hammer down and pressure you and use lots of passive aggressive language and emails and communication to try and get you back.
Right.
Successfully, quite often, I assume that people successfully bring people back in through those techniques, through those tactics.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I live in the post-Mormon world now, so I live with the people who are brave enough to stay away and set that boundary.
Right.
Yeah, we left, and it was the right decision because there's a point where it doesn't matter what the church is telling you. It was so wrong. I've always lived and worked and danced and sung beside gays my whole 15 years in New York City.
Right.
I loved them. I advocated for them. There was absolutely no way I could sit in the pews of a congregation that would spew this policy.
Yeah.
And absolutely had to just go and not be a part of it anymore.
Do you think that it made it more fathomable for you being married to someone who did not grow up in the church and then converted, so new life outside of it, versus had Bob also grown up in the church and therefore maybe also felt that fear of my whole family is going to disown me possibly, and the whole community I know also is going to disown me?
Yes. On these really helpful, supportive post-Mormon groups, there's lots of people who will come out to the groups, open up, share that they don't believe in the faith anymore, they don't support it anymore, yet they still go to church every Sunday because their wife or their husband remains active in the church, or because they're afraid to tell their family, or they've left the church, but their family has no idea. Wow. People choose all different spectrums of honesty because it's so difficult. And so, yeah, my husband and I had a much easier transition out than other couples. Divorce is very common because one couple says, I need to pull away from this. And the other couple says, but we are married for eternity. You can't do that. You can't ruin the family.
Right.
And the belief differences will become too strong.
Right.
So how strong is the community, the ex-Mormon community, and tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. It depends where you live, but, I hate Facebook with a passion, but I'm grateful to it at the same time because it brings people like us together who've completely lost our entire life before this. Your Mormon church community is Sunday for 3 hours, Sunday evenings, Wednesday evenings, Monday evenings, Friday evenings. It's everything.
Right.
So Facebook brings these people together who are feeling a little lost and don't have a community, have no idea how to act in the real world. We don't know how to drink or smoke or hang out at a bar with people.
Well, this is one of my favorite parts of the story is what you did in Cincinnati.
What did I do?
Well, the Wine 101.
I love that.
Oh,
yeah.
Wine drinking 101.
Tell us about that.
Okay. So John DeLynn and his organization started a website where if you are ex-Mormon or post-Mormon or are allies with them, you can join local groups in local cities to get together and talk because you have war stories to share and you need to talk about what you went through and what your parents said to you or how cruel your bishop was to you, or just how you're feeling inside. So I started a group in Cincinnati. We called it Cincinnati Fringe. Huge number of people came out of the woodwork. Lots of post-Mormons hiding in the woodwork. Yeah. They came out, they get together. Sometimes the evenings are filled with tears and anxiety, and sometimes they're filled with just pizza and fun. And gosh, it's so nice to hang out and not say a prayer every time we put a bite of food in our mouth.
Yeah.
Right.
So Bob was a bartender when I met him, and a damn good one at that. And then I worked in a restaurant. It's the kind of high-end restaurant where we take wine lessons with the sommelier every week. And so we would have wine competitions, whoever can sell the most expensive bottle of wine, etc. So we knew a lot, and we thought, why don't we teach our friends a little bit about drinking so they don't get stuck downing barefoot Chardonnay for the next 10 years.
Barefoot Chardonnay. No. That's awesome.
No offense to anybody who loves their barefoot bubblies in the bath. We did a Wine 101 class. And
there's something so sweet about that to me. And I told you when you first told me about this, like I said, that's a 1-act play or maybe a 2-act play if we can figure out the second act, Britt. People coming together for this new thing, and it's got to be kind of a little bit exciting, a little bit intimidating, but learning how to drink wine as an adult. I have to confess that I should probably take that class because I don't know anything.
He drinks out of a beer mug.
Love it. It was a bunch of 30-year-olds and like good little Mormons. They all had their pencils. They were taking notes.
That's so great.
They were following instructions to a T. It was the best. It was awesome.
And so did you in New York, you were tasting these wines when you had to taste them, right? When you did the meetings with sommelier, or did you? Yeah. Or were you like, I can't,
and that was very rebellious as a Mormon, but I would always taste, but not drink.
Yeah, so, me too, Brett, all the time.
And so when I
taste to excess.
Love it. I would pretend to be drunk for my table. You know, you'd have like a big group of 10 businessmen and they want the waiter to party with you. They want me to have shots with them. So I'd go to Bob and I'd say, hey, hon, I need 10 shots and 1 virgin shot. And he knew what that meant.
Right.
And so he'd always like make my virgin shot with a little lime on it or something. Yeah. I'd go to the table. I'd be like, let's drink up, boys.
Oh, that's so funny.
I'd down my little club soda and waddle off pretending to be tipsy, and they're happy as clams and I get a great tip.
That's awesome.
Well done.
You know.
Look at you working it.
That's awesome.
That's great. So you mentioned this man's name a couple times now. Tell me remind me his name and tell me who he is.
His name's John DeLynn.
Yeah.
And depending where you are on the spectrum, he's either
I'm on the spectrum.
Yeah, he's deep.
But we all are on the spectrum, you guys.
Right.
We just don't know it yet.
That's true.
If only AJ could count matches, he'd make useful. But
I keep dropping matches around Marty.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
I'm not counting.
John DeLynn's a psychologist, a Mormon advocate. Ex-Mormon advocate because he was excommunicated.
Why?
Oh.
Because he did a study of gay Mormons related to the church. He started these Facebook groups and he started to advocate for things that the church didn't allow, and he was too vocal about it.
Wow. That excommunication thing really, it's a bee in my bonnet for any, Catholics do it, but it's like, God, come on, man. It's like,
it's literally, he wears a bonnet.
I just imagine a little pink knit on it.
Yeah, it's like, who would just, the hubris of saying, you're no longer part of the one true spiritual community because we've decided. Mm-hmm. And who are you? You know, I mean, I understand that what their response is, well, we're ordained, blah, blah, blah. But still, it just smacks of such hubris and arrogance.
Absolutely. What you're sitting in a room.
Whatever the religion.
8 other men, usually white men, usually over 40, 8 other men are deciding your self-worth.
Right.
That's how it happens.
At its core, I mean, your spiritual self-worth.
Your eternal self-worth.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So
when was he excommunicated?
Probably around 2018.
So after you left, after the decision on gays and he kept working from within the church for a while.
He did, yeah.
I imagine he was rubbing people wrong for a while.
And he supported people staying in the church as well.
Really?
Yep, sure. He supported
so that you could change from within?
No, he supported people to find their own faith journey and honor and respect that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like you've been on quite a faith journey in reading your article.
Yes.
Okay. Would you like to talk about that?
Tell us a little bit about that. Because so you leave, you make the decision to leave. Hard decision. You're elated, empowered, and then scared shitless.
Oh, I was like the 21-year-old who had just broken up with her high school boyfriend. Mm. I had to get another church boyfriend, and I had to do it right away.
Right.
I couldn't even comprehend that being alone was an option.
Okay.
So I went church hopping like a mad woman, and I took my kids with me. They started to name the different churches. We would go to the Lemonade Church. We would go to the Loud Choir Church. Yeah. We went to a huge mega church that had automatic sliding doors and escalators and rooms, and you would scan your kids' bracelet to check them into their class. Eventually the kids got tired of me dragging them with me, so I started to go by myself. But
so how long does this period last? Let's name this period. Is this what period is this in your journey, Britt? What's the name of this chapter?
Let's call it Seek and Find.
Seek and Find. I like it. Okay. So how long does Seek and Find last?
I would say about 6 months.
And is it?
No, that can't be right. It was a little bit more than that because I joined the choir of the Pentecostal church. And then I joined the contemporary music group of the large Christian church.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you would go to one multiple times and stay there for a bit before you moved on? How did that work?
I was crazy. I was going to like 3 different congregations every Sunday.
Every Sunday?
Yeah.
Working out the times.
And it wasn't just because of a desperation to find another religion.
Right.
I was suddenly fascinated because this is what I found. I found the most beautiful, welcoming, loving people.
Yeah.
And I spent my whole life spending hours in Sunday not doing what Jesus taught, but spending time talking intellectually about why we are the greatest religion and why we're different from other religions and us versus them. And then I would go to these other churches and I would still feel the Spirit of God or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I would feel it. And people would come up and they would hug me and they would be filled with love. And I remember coming home to Bob saying, I thought I was open-minded before, but I was wrong. I'm so much more open-minded because there are great people in every faith and they're good and they have pure hearts.
That's amazing.
And they're just happy to have you there.
I love that.
I love it too, but shame on me for my skepticism, but not about you, but I think there's a honeymoon period when a new potential recruit shows up at a church. And if you became a full member, then all of a sudden decided to leave, I wonder if you'd get the same pushback, or did you just get a real true spirit of love at these places?
That's a valid point, but I am talking about experiences I had when I would sometimes sneak in after it started.
Okay.
I'd be in the back, or I would be going to the bathroom and a random woman would come up to me and say, she wouldn't ask me to stay. She wouldn't ask me to fill out, one of those new member cards.
Right.
She would just say, I really feel like I want to hug you today.
Because it reminds me of like when I lived in Houston and they asked me if I was a Republican and I said no. And they looked at each other and like, ooh, get a rope. And it's just like, they were lovely people until I'm not a Republican. And then, I
don't know, man. This sounds like it was kind of a no strings attached. I mean, you're all there. You're all in the building, right? So you're kind of all ostensibly there in similar spirit.
They didn't know you were a potential. They thought you were part of the congregation, right?
Sometimes the congregation was so small. I went to a rural Pentecostal congregation one day with about 15 members in the audience. I had one of the most spiritual experiences I've ever had.
Really?
Wonderful.
None of them asked me to fill out any cards or stay. They just welcomed me with open arms.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what it sounds like to me is, well, first, it sounds like you took this approach. Obviously, it was a personal approach, but it also your specific approach was almost journalistic. I'm going to explore. I'm going to learn what else is out there. You're engaged and you're dug in, and you're going to try these things out, which sounds like you. It fits your personality.
I'm that person that you hate in the car, that when you find a really good song on the radio station, I insist that you check all the other radio stations before you go back to that great song.
There might be a better one.
Yeah.
I've done that.
You're that person too.
There might be a better one on.
Did you in your exploration, did you ever look at Eastern religions, or were you sort of just taking baby steps to get away from Mormonism? You didn't want to take the jump away from Christianity?
Yeah, I was in Cincinnati, brother, so there wasn't much opportunity for that. That's interesting you ask, though, because I am reading a book now related to Buddhism and Christianity. I like to listen to the Secular Buddhist podcast. I think Eastern religions are just fascinating.
What's the book?
Thoughts Without a Thinker.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know the author, sorry.
And what's the basis of the book? Give us the synopsis of the book.
The book is about enmeshing ancient Eastern wisdoms and traditions into modern day psychology and spiritual practice, and how when you really do look at them, how obviously integrated they are. But it's just not. It's almost there. I mean, we're getting there in America, but they're still working on integrating that.
Right.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you also, in this almost journalistic approach that you took, it sounds like you ran into people who are, at least for those hours that they're at the church that you encountered them, actually trying to live the teachings of someone like Jesus, right? Be a light in the world. Be a light to the world. Mm-hmm. It sounds like you ran into some of that, at least in those Sunday experiences.
I did. I was beautiful. I remember coming home to Bob saying, there are amazing people.
Yeah.
In these other faiths.
That's got to be nice to discover, to realize just about people.
Yes. People are fascinating. People are so beautiful. And I wasn't able to enjoy them fully the way that I thought they could when I was Mormon. Yeah. Because when you are Mormon, you are taught to always have your guard up or judge them or be wary of them if they might tempt you to sin. Mm-hmm. You don't have the liberty of being that open with other people.
Right. And it's funny, man, in my impression here, just in this talk, if I may be so bold, Marty, it feels to me like in that hearing about that scenario, you would have your guard up.
Absolutely.
You know, and maybe miss out on somebody genuinely. Yeah,
well, that's a great point. And I can, when I lived in D.C., I lived, right in the city. It was an all black neighborhood. I was probably the only white guy for a mile. And I really loved my neighbors. I loved the neighborhood. It was really, it was just a great place to live. Everybody looked after each other. And on the corner, like literally 4 houses away, there was a giant Baptist church. And these precious, sweet African-American ladies with their big hats and their big, they were all dressed up like Easter every Sunday. And they would come by with pamphlets. And sometimes they'd be like, have a cup of green tea, nursing a hangover, sitting on the front porch in my PJs, in the summer, and they'd come walking by, or sometimes they'd come and knock on the door, and they'd say, well, "Hello, sweetie, hey, dear, can we talk to you about Jesus?" And they were so damn cute. I'm like, "Of course you can. Come on in." And I had like 3 or 4, little old ladies with their big hats, sitting in my on my couch, and we'd be talking about Jesus. And it's just like, I wasn't buying any of it, but what I was buying was their sweetness and their sincerity.
Right. That's a nice thing to buy, right?
Yeah.
If you can not buy someone's message, but I feel like if it's there, you can buy their sincerity.
Yeah. I remember thinking they were authentic and that they were good. They were good good representatives of Christianity.
Right.
So,
so you spend 6+ months trying all these different churches and different versions of Christianity. Mm-hmm. What is the impetus to move on? Like, if you have the great experiences in one, why, and you join the choir, you do this, why then move on? Is it you run into something that you don't like, or you're in this searching mode now and it's hard to turn that off?
Or because maybe you just can, right?
Oh, yeah.
There's something intoxicating about I moved on because I can.
Certainly, yeah.
Yeah. Well, number one, the Mormon church, man, without any of their cultural constrictures, would be a really good faith to have in your life.
Why?
They do community so damn well. Mm-hmm. I miss the Relief Society to this day, and that's the women's organization.
Okay.
They look out for one another. They have good organizations. They bring food to you when you're sick. They help you when you have a baby. Their community is thriving and lovely when it's done right.
It fills the tribal need that we all have.
Yeah. Their music's great. It's really hard to find something that matches that. So, I'd go to a church and I would like the people, but I can't help it. I'm a music snob, and their music would be bad, so I would move on.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Or the congregation would be lovely, but it's Pentecostal, as lovely as that was. I don't think I could ever fall into that faith.
Right.
But Marty, to speak on what you said, I remember I once went to Unitarian Universalist Church at least 5 or 6 times, and one day the pastor finally came to me. Female lesbian pastor, of course, to fit the stereotype. I don't know what you know about Unitarian Universalists.
Well, is it like the Unity up here close by? Which one is Unitarian Universalist? Because my mom used to go to
Similar.
a church that was Unity, but I don't know if it was Unitarian Universalist.
No, I think
it's
they're
meditation based within the Christian realm, but it's meditation based.
Yeah, I do think that's Unity up on the hill.
Yeah.
I've been there. Fun community. Tambourines.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Rock and roll,
if
man.
you're in the mood for tambourines, go up there.
I don't think nobody uptight ever played the tambourine. I don't feel like that.
That's true.
Yeah.
True. Unitarian Universalist, you can be who you want to be and still be welcome and walk into that congregation.
Okay.
You can be atheist, Marty.
Awesome.
You can be Muslim, you can be Jew, you can be Christian, you can be somewhere in the middle, walk into the congregation, and they support you and welcome you on your own faith journey. Mm-hmm. So that's how they're different than other religions. They don't say this is what we believe or what we ascribe to. Mm-hmm. They say this is how we're going to support you on your faith journey.
So what does a day at church look like there?
More members of the congregation being able to speak.
So
there's music, there's sitting. It's a church-like setting, but they also very strongly advocate social justice. Every good Unitarian congregation will have activities where you can go out and protest or volunteer. Mm-hmm. They really are more active in what Jesus Christ actually taught than many other faiths because they actually get out there and serve, which is what he asked. Yeah. So the pastor is there and I'm telling her my trials and tribulations and I'm just really, I think part of the reason I kept searching is because I didn't have anybody telling me what to do. And I didn't know how to make a decision for myself because I never was given that freedom in the Mormon church. Right. And she looked at me and she's like, well, you can stay here. You can next week go to another church and then come back if you like. You can do whatever you want. And she said it just like that, so flippantly, but it just whacked me to the core. And I remember going home sobbing, thinking, I really can. I can do whatever I want.
Was it a happy cry or an intimidated?
It was a scared cry.
Yeah.
Because you have been taught your whole life to seek the counsel of the scriptures, of the bishop, of the Lord. And for the first time ever, I really could make whatever decision I wanted to do, but I would also be responsible for that decision.
Yeah.
So now it's freeing. It's absolutely amazing. At the time, it was very frightening.
Right.
It was frightening. I had a great uncle who was a Jesuit priest, and he was just a beautiful human being, and he was so loving and kind and brilliant. And I remember reading the Bible thinking I was a little smart ass, and I'm like, come on, Father Paul, you don't expect me to believe this bullshit, do you? And he just looked at me and he's just like, keep loving your heart. Don't worry about that. Just keep loving your heart and you'll be just fine. That's his answer. And so I wasn't raised in a fundamentalist type environment, but still, even trying to pull away, it's a little scary, just one, because of the community and the difference, but also just for me, at least initially, there was this slight little bit of sort of Pascal's wager, what if? Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking to myself, you know what, if there is a God, believing because somebody else tells me to believe isn't the reason that he or she is going to want me to be part of this faith community. So, I finally pulled away, but it was scary for me. And I come from a way less fundamentalist sort of situation. So I applaud you for your courage. It's just amazing. And I empathize a little bit, I can see.
Mm-hmm. So she says, it doesn't matter. You can go wherever you want.
And I think that's what finally slowed me down.
Oh, why?
Because I was given permission to just stop and take a breath, given permission to not latch on to another faith right away. I realized that I didn't have to do that. I didn't have to find the other boyfriend right away. I could be single for a while.
Yeah, amazing, right? Scary, but where you're going to find growth in a certain time of life.
Right.
And so then is that like what happened after that?
So for the remaining time in Cincinnati, we stayed part of this pretty lovely, large Christian organization. Again, the music snob's going to come out. Sorry. But They had a phenomenal sound system.
Yeah.
And great band, all paid except for me and a couple of the other part-time singers. But it's one of those Christian rock bands that you hear on the radio, right?
So you were in the band.
Yeah, it was fun.
That's awesome. Is it a coincidence that you were in the band and you're telling us it was a great band?
Absolutely.
Did you have a tambourine?
No tambourine, but I did. I did wear the cliche like blue skinny jeans, boots, and plaid shirt, like a nice little scarfy scarf.
Awesome.
Sure, you rocked it.
And so you go to to that congregation for a while, or
I went there and sang there until we left Cincinnati.
And was it just mostly for the music and the singing?
No, the pastor was a good pastor. He had lovely messages. He never was specific. He was never too specific or too condemning in his Sunday sermons, right? So it was a good place to be.
And so then you leave Cincinnati, and then is that your break? Like, is that your clean break?
That was like when I was officially done, because when I left Cincinnati, we came here to West Lynn, to where I was now 5 minutes from one sister, one brother, and my parents. And there was this immediate expectation that I would suddenly go back to the ward.
Right.
And I had to make the decision and make the actual verbal statement, no, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So that's where I hit the wall of silence from my family, which was awful.
Oh, tell us more about that. I mean, if you're willing to, obviously.
It's fine. So like I said, people have multiple different reactions from their family, because you are not just rejecting their belief, you are rejecting the family in a way, because Mormons believe that you are together for eternity, and there's different kingdom levels post-death, kingdom levels of heaven. And if I choose not to be a temple attending Mormon or an inactive Mormon, then I would not be with them in that kingdom post-life. My goodness, it gets all very fantastical.
Yeah.
But it's more than just a, hey, you can believe this and I'll believe this separation. You're really rejecting their way of life.
Right.
And I'm sure that doesn't feel good for them either. So some family members can be horribly cruel, say terrible things. A lot of my post-Mormon friends have gone through a lot of emotional trauma by how their family has treated them, or refused to talk with them. My family did the opposite, where nobody talked to me about it. Nobody asked me about it.
Yeah.
When we would show up for family gatherings, everybody would just kind of pretend like it wasn't happening.
Did that feel odd?
Yeah, for me, that was worse, because I like to talk through conflict.
Yeah.
So
it's there. Let's have it out.
It was very uncomfortable. And it was sad. I was sad that they didn't care enough to even engage with me about it.
And how did that resolve, if it did?
It did not resolve.
Right. So
Other than me going through a what's wrong with my family year. And then the next year I just went through a grief and a level of acceptance, saying that's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
And then just forgiving them for being where they are, and understanding that maybe they just don't care enough, and that's okay.
Or it's too threatening, right? To them.
Of course. I'm sure it's very scary for them.
Does any of that ever come out in the puppet shows? Am I supposed to not mention the puppet shows?
The puppet shows. Only after shots.
I forgot about the puppets.
Man. Just for a little bit of background, Britt and her also very creative husband Bob, for family gatherings, do puppet shows where they write. Do you make the You make the puppets. You write.
We make the puppets.
You write the script, and sometimes some family stuff gets hashed out through the puppet shows.
Just a little bit.
But you did one at a family gathering, didn't you? Didn't you do a puppet show at a family gathering?
That's the whole point.
Yeah,
that's where they do them.
Satirical puppet shows.
Oh,
yeah.
but I mean, but addressing the situation, no?
Addressing some family situations.
Oh,
yes,
Yeah.
we do. Yeah.
We're not going to get into what, but some family situations may at times
come out at the puppet show.
Slightly passively aggressively be addressed through the puppet show.
Which for a post-Puritan, conservative, passive-aggressive American family, it's brilliant.
Hey, they're right up.
Get to hear the stuff that's not talked about.
Yeah, I think they go home and really think about stuff.
So, Britt, if we ever get a call like, "Hey, we want to come," Bob and I want to come over and do a puppet show with you guys. Does that mean it's kind of like an intervention?
No, that's right. That's right. You guys, right? We'll get an email from Britt. You guys have time for a puppet show?
Yeah.
Like, shit. What did we do?
Yeah, exactly.
The Marty puppet is just going to be too excessive talking about bodily fluids. I can tell you that right now. Or about his bathroom trips.
There's sounds like a podcast listener.
Have we? Yeah. Apparently, it's all coming back to me now. I was going to say, how dare you?
So now, so I noticed through all this, through this story, once you leave the ward, once you have that great conversation with Bob, we don't have to talk about this, do we? Nope. And you're out. On the religious landscape, Bob kind of is not in the story anymore. Did he say, I'm out? You explore what you want to explore, but I'm it's not for me anymore, or did he sometimes go with you?
He was more than happy to just stop pretty much altogether.
Sure. Yeah.
Much to my chagrin at the time, I wanted him to be involved and thoughtful and filled with angst like I was.
Right.
And he did come with me at times, but usually if I was singing so the kids could sit with him.
Britt, what did he convert? He converted to Mormonism, but what was he before? Was he
a bartender douchebag? Did you listen?
He was